Howdy, knife peeps. And whether y'all are here in the morning, afternoon, or evening, I'm glad you're here. First thing I want to do is say thank you to the channel members. Thank you, and thank you to anyone who comes in to check out my knife, my EDC content. I appreciate you. If you're so inclined, if you hit that subscribe button and that bell notification icon, it really helped me out. So today, I want to talk about this Civivi ExOne. I don't know if that's pronounced X1, but quite honestly, I think it's a great contender for me, for what I like in a knife, to be a budget knife of the year. So it is a G10 steel liners flipper with a deep hollow ground blade with a splinter digger tip. I think I said Nitro-V blade, but you've also got this fuller that runs the length of the blade. And this is a collaboration with none other than Brian Brown. Brian Brown, one of my personal favorite designers. Brian is the one that brought the Yeager, the Raptor, and other knives to life. But the X1 is, in my opinion, a great budget interpretation of the Yeager. When you look at these blades, they're very similar. Of course, this is going to be nicer blade steel, but Nitro-V is a fine blade steel. Nicer materials here, but a much more expensive knife, where this knife has the basic functionality of very just appealing detent. Whether I push button it with that flipper, light switch it, or like I like to do, gets anywhere in that fuller. That fuller is so sharp. If you look, you can see little scrapes of fingernail or a little white calcium from my nail from flicking it. Because all I'm doing is running my finger till it catches. So I'm not even going in at a finger hole. I'm just finding a place on the blade. I'm flipping it in all different parts of the blade, and we'll look at it in a second. But it catches my finger, or it catches the blade anywhere I hit that groove, and deploys like an absolute champ. Has a great sharpening choil, which I use as a finger choil. If you've got a meatier hand, it might not be the best finger choil for you. I have cut a lot of cardboard. I've carried this knife. I unboxed it probably 10 days ago and have been carrying it, have been cutting with it. It is still very sharp. Whoops. Sorry about that. A couple of cat hairs on there. But it's still very sharp. Very slicey. And that point is fantastic for utility cuts. And even very pokey. So you've got a great point, great Wharncliffe style blade, in my opinion. I think it's a fantastic design knife. Whoops. Sorry about that, guys. But it is a fantastic Wharncliffe blade. This one is the black G10. I picked it up at Amazon. I will leave a link to it. It also comes in other colors, and I even think it comes with a Damascus blade in one configuration, some micarta configurations, different configurations. But let's do a couple of quick size comparisons, and we will start off with our cold steel 4-max. It's going to be much smaller than our 4-max. And we'll look at it next to our Civivi Baby Banter. It's going to be much bigger than our Baby Banter. So let's look at it next to the Benchmade bug out. It's going to be about a 1/2 inch shorter than the bug out, which means it will be shorter than the PM2. I happen to have a Sharpie right here. And of course I've got a tape measure. So I'm going to call it 7 inches, but it's really like 7 1/8. With a 3-inch blade, 2 3/4 inch cutting area. Inside grip is 3 1/8 from here to here. My inside grip is 3 3/4 from here to here. But you've got a good 3 3/4 and 4 3/4, 3 3/4 to back here, 4 3/4 to back here. So it's got a good grip, nice 3 very, very sharp, not sharp as in pokey, but sharp as in grippy jips on the blade. It is a liner lock. Again, the detent is snappy. I want to say this particular specimen was around $56. Again, I will leave the Amazon link where I bought this, because I did buy this knife because I thought it was super cool. I thought it was really cool when I discovered it at Blade Show, perfectly centered. I did not check it out at Blade Show because the line at the Civivi booth was so intense, and I was only there for the Saturday. I'm not a thumb flicker guy. I apologize for that one. Let's get a quick weight of it. And in all fairness, full disclosure, there are not a ton of value budget knives that I have handled this year. Not as much. 3.4 ounces at a 3-inch blade. I'm not mad at that. With steel liners, G10. It's a very thin package. It carries great. I've been carrying this non-stop for about 7-8 days. And it's just an easy carry. Very narrow handle. I do not feel the clip. The deep hollow grind is absolutely slicey. I love the matte Stonewashed finish on the blade on this particular variation. I've not swapped out any scale or any bearings yet. It's got a nice G10 backspacer or FRN backspacer. I haven't taken it apart to see what that's made of, but it's there. So pretty nice. And again, it's modeled after the Yeager. And I think they did a good job at offering one of my favorite premium knives that I carry on the daily. This one happens to be a flipperless, but I love this knife. They did a great job carrying it over to the Civivi partnership. So really stokes me out. I think it's a great knife. I definitely would recommend it to anybody who likes the style Brian Brown knives, because I'm a huge Brian Brown fan. I've got 2 of his knives, the Raptor and the Yeager. The Yeager was my first, and it was probably one of my first grails. And I was lucky enough to pick one up from a guy who had bought 2, who works locally here, buyer at St. Nick's Knives. He was nice enough to let me buy the one he did not want, so that's how I got my first Brian Brown knife. But this is the ExOne, or ExOne. It's spelled ExOne. I'll leave an Amazon link. Great knife. As far as I've experienced this year, and I've got a couple more budget knives coming. Right now, I think this is about as good as anything I would want for a knife. But again, that's my personal preference. You guys might be different. I got a video coming up on that. What is the perfect knife? But guys, if you would, thank you for watching. Please look out for the guy or gal to your left. Please look out for the guy or gal to your right. Please look out for each other. Go forward with love in your hearts and choose to bait, not hate. I love you all. Peace.